Whatever your thoughts of the current MCU and where it's heading, the first 3 phases of the franchise was pretty hit or miss when it came to the villains. However, a few managed to stand out and become compelling characters, if not showcases for brutal feats of villainy. Before we begin, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Every new sub helps us achieve our goal and keeps us motivated to create new content. With that being said, I'm your host, Jamie, and here are our top 10 MCU villains. Number 1, Sho Wen-woo. In 2021, the MCU brought us the tale of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, starring Simu Liu as the titular character and Tony Leung Chua as Mandarin, also known as Wen-woo. Now, there's plenty of debate how he's just misunderstood, and I can see that perspective, but given his background, I don't agree. He was obsessed with power and wealth, was able to take down entire governments, but still wasn't satisfied. He decided to conquer Ta Lo, another dimension, so already his intentions aren't pure. He ends up meeting the love of his life there and decides that's all he really needs, her and his children. Unfortunately, previous actions on his part catch up to his current life, leading a gang to come and kill his wife. He's then on a mission to get revenge, an eye for an eye, and drags his young son into assassin training, and his daughter ends up training herself. The kids end up escaping his tyrannical treatment for many years. Wen-woo catches up with the kids, even sending his own assassins to get something from them, all because he believes his wife is trapped in Ta Lo. The kids are brought to their dad, where he reveals he's gonna destroy Ta Lo and free his wife. But the kids know better and go there first. Wen-woo gets to Ta Lo and he's determined to destroy that dimension and anybody, including his kids, who might stand in his way. Well, after a fight between Shang-Chi and Wen-woo, the rings are transferred from father to son. But is it truly because he thinks he's doing the right thing? I don't think so. Wen-woo knew he was gonna die and wanted those rings safe and have his son take over for the assassins. Everything this man did was for his own selfish reasons, not out of the goodness of his heart. Sound familiar? Let me know your thoughts after you check out Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings on Disney+, Hulu, Sling, Prime, Google Play, Apple TV, or Fandango. Number 2, The Vulture. Some villains aren't so easy to find. Others are just in the spotlight, leaving no question if they're the bad guy. This is pretty much the case with Adrian Toomes when he becomes the Vulture. Toomes was a diligent scientist trying to come up with new things, until he realizes his own boss is a criminal. At first there's a hint of vigilante, but no. He figures he didn't get any justice. Why not just do what he wants? Completely under the guise of doing all these things to protect his family. Now I could go off on a tangent about toxic masculinity, but let's face it, threatening to kill your daughter's date for interfering with business is not exactly earning him any gold stars. Toomes goes around pulling off robberies, murders, and holds Spider-Man hostage. Not so much a hostage per se, but he tries to rid the world of Spider-Man through a giant water tank. Sure, Toomes is smart as hell and created his suit to even fly, but just because somebody's a genius doesn't mean they're good people. He could have done anything to help out people. Instead, he comes up with tech that just kills from whoever. Again, this sounds kind of familiar, right? Anyhow, you can check out the epic battle between Spider-Man and the Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming on Disney+, Hulu, Sling, Prime, Google Play, Apple TV, or Fandango. Number 3, The High Evolutionary. The idea of a perfect society is an ongoing war within our world, And there's always some narcissistic, egotistical maniac that's claiming it's a possibility. In the case of the High Evolutionary in 2023's Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 3, it's no different. The High Evolutionary is trying to create the perfect society, then destroys it if it doesn't work out the way he wants. He spends so much time doing these experiments to create new intelligent beings, yet has no empathy for the test subjects. I can't even claim just people because he does all these experiments on animals as well as people, including children. There are even moments where the High Evolutionary acts more like a spoiled brat than anything. Temper tantrums are not a good look for grown men. On a regular basis, he goes around killing those who stand in his way or he deems invaluable. Really makes me think of World War II with this egotistical man in power. But make sure to check out the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 on Disney+, Google Play, Apple TV, Prime, or Fandango. Number 4, Loki. As the adopted son to Odin and Frigga, raised alongside the god of thunder Thor, the god of mischief is often misunderstood. He already battles with his identity, considering he's not Asgardian, but rather from Jotunheim. He's also raised differently than his adoptive brother. Thor was trained to be a warrior under the guidance of his father Odin, yet Loki spent more time with Frigga, learning all kinds of magics. Once the brothers have grown up, Loki harnesses all his anger to try to become the leader of Asgard, but epically fails. He then decides he's going to conquer Earth, where all the Avengers come to try and stop him. Loki has done so many things, including stealing the Tesseract, using mind control, tries to become the world leader, what have you. But let's not forget, when Earth was threatened, Loki stepped up, and when he was trying to repair the loom, he decided on an ultimate sacrifice to weave the loom back together, tying himself to it so that he could protect everybody he loves, and to make sure the timelines go back to how they were supposed to. Yes, Loki was a villain in the beginning, but he turned around and became one of the greatest heroes, in my opinion, when it really mattered. You can check out all the Avengers movies and Loki the series on Disney+, Google Play, Apple TV, Prime, or Fandango. Number 5, Hydra. Alexander Pierce worked with the government to rescue people in hostage situations. However, after an incident, he lost his faith in the system. Shortly after, he was recruited by Hydra, a society that wanted to control the world. Now, I could make all the comparisons to World War II Germany, if you know, but I'm not here to give a history lesson. However, with Hydra, they're willing to take down current governments and seize control over all the world's leaders. Pierce was able to systematically work his way up through the US government and become higher up for the organization of S.H.I.E.L.D., where he appointed his friend Nick Fury to lead these agents. After some time, it becomes obvious that Pierce has ulterior motives and isn't doing things for the good of the country or mankind. So when Fury discovers his plans, Pierce sends out an assassin to kill Fury and then 2 of our Avengers. The biggest thing Pierce was behind was Project Insight, which was basically these helicarriers that would patrol around the Earth and try to find those that could be a danger. Hydra ended up wanting to use it to get rid of people who wouldn't follow their new world order, but ultimately was stopped, and the project never really took off, at least in this timeline. Hydra is all for a new world order, and Pierce, being a devout follower of the organization, was nothing short of evil and vindictive. Take some time to check out Hydra's rise and downfall in S.H.I.E.L.D. over on Tubi, Disney+, Apple TV, Prime, or Fandango. If you're really enjoying this video so far, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Number 6, Green Goblin. I am a huge fan of Willem Dafoe, and with him portraying the Green Goblin is just so fitting. I don't think anybody else could have done it. So Norman Osborn was your typical scientist and came up with a serum that he injected into himself. This just screams not a good idea. Due to the serum being incomplete, an alternate ego started presenting itself, almost making it seem like Osborn is suffering from late onset schizophrenia. But it's just the effects of whatever he placed in his body. After Osborn assumes the Green Goblin's identity, he ends up killing many people on the board at his company, attacks Spider-Man, and even kills Aunt May. Now here's where it can get kind of tricky because there are several versions of the Green Goblin throughout the years. We have your comic books, which are pretty much on par with Sam Raimi's Spider-Verse, and yes, there will be some differences, but then there's also the original Spider-Man films from the early 2000s, where he's just chaos in a green suit, so I kinda tend to ignore that version. However, the Green Goblin does have some redeeming qualities, like being completely honest with Peter Parker about himself, and even coming up with the anti-serum. But it doesn't negate all the things he's done. He wasn't afraid to kill anybody and spent a good amount of time attacking Spider-Man and those that he loves. Either way, he's one of those villains that does get his comeuppance, and you can check out how it all unfolds in the Spider-Man films on Disney+, Hulu, Sling, Prime, Google Play, Apple TV, or Fandango. Number 7, Kingpin. A kingpin is synonymous with organized crime, and it's no different for Mayor Wilson Grant Fisk of New York City. When Fisk was just a child, he killed his abusive father, but that could have been considered self-defense. As he got older, he formed alliances with various crime families throughout New York City, gaining him the protection he thought was all too powerful. Fisk was a violent man, usually in the face of correcting a wrong in his eyes. One particular incident is when the boss's deaf daughter was rudely spoken to. Fisk decided to teach a lesson with his fists, leaving the man a bloody mess. He eventually becomes a loan shark, head of the underground crime scene, and rebuilds families that dealt with guns and whatever else they could to earn a buck. Once Daredevil catches up with Fisk, he's arrested and sent to prison, where he enlists the help from the Punisher, getting them both released. But Fisk ends up back in prison. And yes, eventually his record is wiped clean, letting him run for mayor and being elected. Fisk does show a softer side to some women and children, but really has it out for the men, which is typically how it goes. He was never afraid of doing what he thought needed to be done, and was able to manipulate people in such a way that made them compliant with whatever he wanted done. However, you can check out all of Fisk's tale in Daredevil Born Again on Disney Plus and see how Daredevil brings them to justice at the right time. Number 8, Gore the God Butcher. People have faith in a lot of things, whether it's a higher power, nature, or whatever a belief may be. We're no stranger to the concept. And when something horrible happens in our lives, we often lose our faith in that being. This is no different for Gore, who lost his daughter, and the gods almost dismissed his suffering, in a sense. He just wanted to be seen, or rather validated, that his suffering was okay, and to be brushed off is gonna piss anybody off. Now, I can't imagine losing a child, nor do I want to, and my heart goes out to anybody who has. In the case of Gore, with the dismissive attitude he received, he became irate, wanting to kill every god there was in every world and universe. He ends up trying to get to Eternity, who's actually this all-powerful entity, to make sure his wish comes true. That being the extinction of the gods. He goes to New Asgard and kidnaps all the children, wanting to also steal a powerful weapon that can summon the Bifrost, leading him to his destination. I empathize a lot with Gore on the basis of losing a loved one, and I think that Thor also saw his suffering and wanted to make the situation better. Thor was able to confront Gore and have him make a new wish, that his daughter never died. He does, and once the young daughter is revived, Gore entrusts her to Thor to raise. It begs to question if he was really a true villain, or if he was just so overwhelmed with survivor's guilt that made him do all these things. There are reasons for what he did, and yeah, I don't necessarily agree with his actions. I can kinda understand why he did what he did. But let me know your thoughts after you check out Thor: Love and Thunder on Disney+, Google Play, Apple TV, Prime, or Fandango. Number 9. He Who Remains. What is it with scientists doing weird stuff and creating havoc for our universe? I have to ask this question because of so many villains being scientists before their fall into darkness, leading them down horrible paths of murder and destruction. This doesn't leave out Victor Timely, who becomes known as He Who Remains. Victor's from the 31st century and came into contact with an alternate universe and different variations of himself. Some of those versions wanted to conquer everything that they could, which boiled down to a multiversal war where he used Aliyah, a trans-temporal entity that guards the void, to defeat all other variations of himself and keeping the sacred timeline intact. Sounds like a hero, right? No, guess again. He abuses his power to make sure to keep the timeline he wants and tries to do whatever possible to maintain that. He even founded the Time Variance Authority, which, let's just be honest, is just a bunch of bullies who followed He Who Remains. When the temporal loom begins to fall apart, he's sure that he can keep on going, as his predecessors aren't ready, that being Loki and Sylvie. She ends up killing He Who Remains, which causes the multiverse to expand, something He Who Remained did not want. I really don't like this guy because he's single-minded in what he wants, never wanting to expand on the greatness that can come from change and growing, and often uses some manipulation to get what he wants. But make sure to check out his rise and downfall in Loki on Disney+, Google Play, Apple TV, Prime, or Fandango. Number 10. Thanos. Thanos is just one of those evil people you can't just get rid of no matter how hard you try. He almost seems invincible with how many times he's gone to war or battled against everybody, but never dies or relents in his mission. He had this idea that if he could erase half the population in any universe, it would keep that universe thriving longer, believing that more people means more destruction. Due to this idea, he decided to find the Infinity Stones: space, mind, power, time, soul, and reality, which would come together in a gauntlet providing Thanos enough power to deplete the population in half with just a snap. In the search for the Soul Stone, Thanos had no problem sacrificing his own daughter Gamora to get it. In order to get this particular stone, one must die, and she paid the ultimate price. He spent so much of his time fighting and trying to solve this problem of overpopulation that he seemed to have missed a better purpose in life, causing him a great regret after his mission was completed. He did end up destroying the gauntlet and the stones, and even had a heart-to-heart with Thor before he was ultimately killed for all his crimes. But imagine having that much power and getting rid of so many people. That's just something that should have never existed. But you can watch all of Thanos' battles, wins, and final loss in any of the Avengers movies on Disney+, Google Play, Apple TV, or Fandango. Thanks for checking out the video. Did we leave any villains off the list? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to tap that bell icon to stay up to date with our latest releases. You can reach out to us on Twitter or X at StudiosFat, or chat with us on Discord, linked below. We're also now on Blue Sky. You can find us at studiosfat.bsky.social, which will also link below. If you're really enjoying our content and want to help support us, click that join button for exclusive content, rewards, and perks. Make sure to check out our very own merch store located at fatninja.shop. All proceeds go towards our next film project, so we'd greatly appreciate it. I've been your host, Jamie. Thanks again. Take care.